The house was quiet, not peaceful, just tired. She stood at the sink and watched the water run too long before realizing she had stopped washing anything at all. The plate in her hands stayed dirty. The sponge stayed dry. Her mind was somewhere else, not far away, just heavy. The kind of heavy that doesn't come from a single bad day, but from years of carrying too much and never putting it down. In the living room, the television played softly. One of the children laughed at something on the screen. Another scrolled on a phone, half listening, half drifting. Life was moving the way it always did. And she was moving too. Cooking, cleaning, remembering appointments, remembering what everyone liked and what everyone hated, remembering who needed what and when. She always remembered. That night, she forgot to answer when someone called her name. Not because she was angry, not because she was trying to make a point, but because her body didn't react fast enough anymore. She was tired, not the kind of tired sleep fixes, the kind that settles into your bones and makes everything feel just a little heavier than it should. The children noticed the pause. At first, they didn't understand it. They were used to her voice responding before the second call, used to her footsteps already moving before they finished a sentence, used to her being ready. But that night, she stayed where she was. When she finally looked up, she smiled. The same smile she always gave. Soft, reassuring, familiar. Only this time, it didn't quite reach her eyes. The next morning, nothing dramatic happened. She woke up. She made breakfast. She packed lunches. She reminded them to hurry. Life stayed normal on the outside, but the children started to notice the quiet changes. She sat more often. She forgot small things, not important things, but things she never forgot before. She stared out the window longer than usual, like she was watching something only she could see. When they asked if she was okay, she said yes. She always said yes. And they believed her. Until they didn't. It wasn't one big moment that changed everything. It was a collection of small ones. The way she sighed before standing up, the way she rubbed her temples when she thought no one was looking, the way her laughter came slower. The day they truly realized came quietly. It was an ordinary afternoon. Homework on the table, shoes by the door, the smell of food warming on the stove. She sat on the couch, folding laundry. Her hands moved slower than usual. One sock slipped from her fingers to the floor. She didn't pick it up. One of the children noticed first. They watched her stare at that sock for a moment, as if deciding whether it was worth the effort. And in that small hesitation, something shifted. It wasn't fear, it wasn't panic, it was understanding. She wasn't just tired today, she had been tired for a long time. Later that evening, they helped clear the table without being asked. Not because they were told to, not because they were trying to impress her, but because they saw her sit down before the dishes were done. She leaned back in her chair, closed her eyes for a second too long, and in that second, the children saw what she never let them see: the weight. The kind that builds quietly, the kind that comes from always being the strong one. The kind that comes from never admitting when you need rest because everyone else depends on you. They washed the plates, they wiped the counters. They didn't say anything about it. Neither did she. But something had changed between them. Not in a dramatic way, in a deeper one. They started noticing her the way she had always noticed them. When she forgot to eat, someone reminded her. When she stayed up too late folding clothes, someone told her to rest. When she said she was fine, someone asked again, gently. At first, she resisted. Not out loud. Inside. She had built her life on being capable, on being dependable, on being the one who never breaks down. Letting them help felt like failing, but exhaustion has a way of softening pride, and slowly she began to accept what she had never allowed herself before, that she didn't have to carry everything alone. One night, after everyone had gone to bed, she sat at the kitchen table with a cup of tea she forgot to finish. The house was quiet again. Not the tired quiet this time, a softer one. She thought about all the years she had pushed through pain without naming it. All the times she had said, "I'm okay," when she wasn't. All the days she had kept going because stopping felt like giving up. She had believed that love meant sacrifice without limits, that being a good mother meant being endlessly available, that rest was something you earned only after everything else was done. But everything else was never done. And now her children were old enough to see that. Not with judgment, with care. They didn't see her as weak, they saw her as human. And for the first time, she let herself feel that too. The next morning, she didn't rush. She moved slower. She drank her tea while it was still warm. She let the house wait a little. No one complained. Instead, one of the children sat with her. Just sat. No words, no pressure. And in that quiet moment, she understood something she had missed for years. Love wasn't only in what she gave, it was also in what she allowed herself to receive. Time passed. Not in a way that erased her tiredness, but in a way that made it lighter. She still had long days, still had worries, still carried responsibility. But now, she wasn't invisible in her own life anymore. Her children didn't see her only as the strong one. They saw her as a woman who had given so much that she had forgotten herself, and who was slowly finding her way back. Sometimes they caught her staring out the window again. This time, her face looked calmer, not because life had become easy, but because she no longer pretended she didn't need rest. And they were proud of her for that. Not in a loud way, in the quiet way that lasts. Years later, they would remember this as the turning point. Not the day everything changed, but the day they learned to really see her. The day they realized love also means noticing when someone is tired and choosing to care anyway. And she would remember it too, as the moment she stopped being only the one who carried everyone else and became someone who was finally allowed to be carried sometimes. Some stories don't end with big words or dramatic lessons. They end with small changes that mean everything. If this story reminded you of someone who carries more than they say, or if it reminded you of yourself, take a moment to rest your heart. And if you'd like more quiet human stories like this, you're always welcome to stay.